Hello and good morning. Welcome to the coffee table. I almost forgot what I named this. Just right there. Totally happened. Today we're going to be talking about open source technology in general and how to do that and what and all the other questions that people who are not developers are like, what does that mean, right? So I'm going to go round robin style, starting with people on my left, right, whatever. Will, you're up first. Go, Will.
Howdy, everyone. My name is Will McCullen. I'm with Pima Community College, and probably the odd person out here, but we're working on a program to try and help get really good hands-on and a different approach for cybersecurity to help make a difference in people's lives. So that's what we're about.
Cool. Thank you. Evan?
What? Am I supposed to say who I am?
Yeah, talk about, like, I don't know, just be like, hey, I'm Evan. And then we'll move on to Cy.
I'm Evan. I got a big beard.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
No, I'm a security guy. I've been a security guy since early 90s. I guess my first kind of cool thing that I did was, stole Windows 95 off their bulletin board server. So I was the first kid on the block with 95, which was neat. 26 floppies later. I don't know. A lot of stuff has happened since then. Run two companies right now. FR Secure, about 80 employees, security consulting company. We don't, I don't sell shit either. I said a bad word.
No,
I don't
that's
sell
fine.
stuff.
No, we just said no F-bombs. You're good.
Okay, yeah. But we stay product agnostic. We're not here to make shit worse, right? So we take it really seriously. And then Security Studio, and do the security shit show with Chris Roberts, one of my favorites, and Ryan Cloutier, also one of my favorites. Just do stuff.
Yeah, it was a good episode last night. We caught that. I think Will and I were there. Cy, did you happen to see it, or?
No, I know you mentioned it, but I didn't know where to go for that.
That's fine.
Oh, they're always fun.
Yeah, they're always
Did
fun.
you know? Did you notice? Did you notice there was a time when Ryan kind of pissed me off on that show?
No, but I'm going to let Cy talk about herself first, and then we'll talk about how Ryan pissed you off. I'm pretty excited. I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, I am Phytis Eurydice. No one can say my name, so everyone calls me Cy. A long-term joke is that I am Cyber Cy because it fits.
It does very nicely. Goes together. I like it.
So I'm also was told that I'm a hacker today, so I have a hood and hoodie. So
Yes, I love it. It's wonderful because you can't be a hacker without a hoodie.
no, a black hoodie specifically.
Specifically.
It's mandatory dress code.
Yeah. Well, it has to match your leather gloves that you're going to use to type stuff with.
I have they're in the wash right
Oh, no, need a hoodie.
They're in the
Evan
wash.
knows stuff.
That's awesome. So how did Ryan piss you off, Evan?
He talks too much.
Oh. No.
No, he's just, sometimes I love him, right? And I respect the hell out of him, but sometimes it's just like, dude, give somebody else a chance to say something. So if he's watching this, he's gonna be like,
Love it.
what? No, it might be a surprise. It might be a surprise to him, so he might be like, what the hell, man?
Oh, hey, there's probably like a chat box and stuff. Look, I'm not a professional at all. I did not set this up correctly.
But
I put it on my screen too, so if anything pops on my end, I'll let you know.
Oh, thanks.
but I love Ryan with all my heart. He's a fantastic guy, good mind. Happy to be, with
Very
him.
nice. No, I like Ryan.
even
Ryan has
people
he's a high energy, like he gets very excited about stuff, and I do that too. So I get it.
Yeah.
But I've been places before where I look back and I'm like, wow, they really just let me ramble for like a good solid 25 minutes. I need a stop button. Like I can tell, just right in the middle, forehead. Shut up and sit down.
But I'm a laid back guy, so those high energy people freak me out.
Sorry. Coming at you.
I like the point of talk too much on a talk show. but
Right?
that's okay.
That might be part of that.
So my big problem with a lot of open source stuff. So I work more on the vendor side of stuff, right? And it actually happened really recently. It happened yesterday. I had somebody go, "So what kind of firewall are you using?" And they said, "We have an open source firewall." And everybody on the vendor team went like noses straight up in the air, right? They were like, they started questioning if they could even afford the product that we were looking at. Oh, really? Oh, really? I'm so sorry that you have figured out. Okay, and I don't know, you guys. This looks like serfdom to me. I'm just saying. There's a lot of people that contribute and volunteer their time and energy. Volunteer, right? Volunteer. And these companies are taking these pieces, right? And they're putting it together like my kids' Lego blocks to build a castle. And then they're selling the castle. When really you just need somebody that knows how to put the blocks together. Is that am I off? Am I way off base with that thinking? That line of thinking? I mean, I get it, right? There's some serious value in making sure that somebody is paying attention to that source code or that block, right? Making sure that it stays updated. Because wasn't it a couple of years ago that the building, what was that building block called? The one that that everybody used to log in, Heartbreak, whatever it was. Now I have to look stuff up because you guys are all looking at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah. So there's.
We're not going to bail you out on this one.
No, thanks.
I'll do my best.
Heartbleed is a security bug in the OpenSSL cryptography library, which is widely used in implementing Transport Layer Security Protocol. It was introduced into software in 2012 and publicly disclosed in 2014. Nobody was working on it. They went back and found out. Oh, look, I'm looking off screen. That's weird. Okay. Nobody figured out that nobody was really working on it because what the group that was trying to maintain it was like this big because they couldn't afford to live.
Yeah. Well, application development has changed so much from, even 5-10 years ago. You would write all your code. Essentially, now everybody borrows, open source libraries all over the place. Few people write all their code from scratch. They'll borrow libraries from all over the place. And then when you're doing that, it's easy to forget that those libraries get updated. Those libraries do have bugs in the code. Yeah. And so you have to keep up on it.
Yeah. Like it's not just, GitHub's an open buffet line, right? Like, here, let me have this and this and this and this. I'm going to slap it together and make something really cool that fits my needs, which is great. That's awesome. That's collaboration at its best. But right. You're not done then. You still have to go back and maintain and do all of that. I'm not a developer, so I don't know how often that's actually done. I'm hoping often.
Regular. Yeah, there's a really, really big, not really, really big, but a big public company that processes really sensitive stock trading information, and I won't, say who they are.
Thank you.
What do they rhyme with?
Yeah, right. We'll talk offline. But it's their core application uses maybe 200-ish open source libraries. I mean, it's a big application, and so we did, code analysis on it, and like 65 of those, open source libraries had, what I would consider critical severity vulnerabilities in it. So their code, if you take all that crap and you put crap together with other crap, what do you have? You have crap.
Yeah.
A big pile of crap.
And it's going to take them, it's going to cost them millions of dollars to unravel all that crap.
So with your background in history, and because you're also working with large industry folks, how reliant, in your opinion, is, say, like a Red Hat or things of that sort, that is its whole design and nature is to stand up for large corporations, to which then you hope that the code is getting a fairly meticulous look. Do you feel that's a solid thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like any other tool, right? You need to know how to use your tool. And so if you're using open source code, understand that these are the things that I need to keep an eye out for. There's a ton of open source code that's awesome.
Yeah.
You can do just about anything you want to do with open source code. And if you have the skills, I mean, you can manipulate that code to do even more wonderful things but just using open source code because it's cheap, thinking that I can put it in and it's cheap and then kind of forget it, well, that you're going to get yourself in a whole bunch of trouble with that.
Right. It has to be maintained, but it can be used very responsibly. Right? I hate that nose in the air, oh, you use open source, or oh, that means it's instantly, it's not secure, right? Like, why would you do that?
I don't understand why the nose is up in the air, because can anyone name me like a project that didn't start with something open source?
No.
Point.
No,
Good
you
point.
can't. They all started that way, right? And then somebody figured out how to monetize it, but not pay the
Cyber
volunteers.
side, mic drop.
Yeah, thank you. Then somebody figured out how to monetize it because they wrap support and services around it, which is needed, right? Because just exactly what we just said.
Yeah.
You can build this yourself, right? I could take a crash course and figure out how to make something. Probably not that
I
great.
teach
Or
people how
that
to make
smooth,
scripts
or
on my
pretty.
Twitch account every week.
But-
You can do it, automate it yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. But I don't know how much time I can dedicate to maintaining that, or going back and checking that it's still secure and updated and there's no holes and patching has been done and the bugs have been fixed, right? I can't do that.
And even beyond the libraries, the languages themselves keep getting new version updates.
Yes.
That's a
that
whole
too.
nother layer that you have to be on top of constantly.
It is, yeah, exactly. And I like that GitHub has started that what is it, like a sponsor type thing where they're starting to like kind of figure out how to give some sort of payment to the people that work on this, because before it was purely just collaborative, right? It was these big, I mean, even, and it's not just somebody sitting in a Starbucks, nod to Evan's coffee choice this morning, good job, working on code, right? It's not, there's two.
Yes, cyber side.
Woo! I can't afford Starbucks, so thank you. No, I'm just
What?
it's $7 a cup for what I like to drink, because
to be
there
fair,
are
my
4 shots of
flatmate bought me
espresso.
mine. I didn't
Okay.
buy it.
Okay, let's take up an offering for.
No, we're not
Rachel.
doing that.
Go fund me for
I have
Rachel
coffee.
Starbucks fund.
I'm okay.
Yep.
I am okay. Okay.
I need your address. I'm going to ship you a card today, a gift card. I don't like seeing you suffer, Rachel.
That is not even close to human suffering. Okay. But you know what? My birthday is in like 2 weeks.
Right?
Just saying. I think I'm gonna.
Well, another thing we see with open source is, I mean, if you truly want to use open source to the best, I guess, of your ability, strip out all the crap too that you don't actually use, all the functions and things that you don't use in the open source code, because it's more lines of code, probably more bugs. Complexity is the enemy. So simplify your shit as much as you can.
So on that point, when I go through and I try to learn a new part of something that's open source, or when I'm trying to teach people how to do things on my spiders that I do, my biggest thing is test it in isolation and break down each part into a new module and a new piece of code. Because if one module breaks and you can shut that part off, you have a way easier time of keeping the host running, or the main thing running, and then having the rest of it something that you can work on and fix, which may be a bigger issue in open source, where if one thing breaks, the whole thing, where do you find it? That thousands lines of code problem.
Right.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, and another thing with commercial code, commercial applications have so many damn features, right? So many bells and whistles, so many checkboxes and configuration items, and 90% of them I don't give a rat about. I just want this application to do this thing for me. So you can only get that with open source code, or develop it yourself. You won't be able to get that in commercial.
Well, and also the whole aspect of open source, higher education would be in a miserable situation without it. If you consider the cost of commercial code, okay, let's take the big one on the block, right? You pay the Microsoft tax, because that's what you need everywhere. And higher education, we're serving thousands of workstations, thousands of customers in pretty much any institution, even if it's K-12 through higher ed, right? If you're going to learn, if you're going to teach, if you're going to be able to offer up the new offerings and areas for students to help fill the gaps that are so desperately needed, we got to have open source. It's huge. So how much, right, Evan, you have a business, and Rachel, you're in some point, how much open source to proprietary code do you guys use? I mean, if you take out the standard like Microsoft, how do you guide customers?
We have, in our business, we have two sides. We have technical services, which is, pen testing, IR, all that kind of good stuff. And then on the other side is consulting services, which is more the management side of information security, more vCISO stuff. On the tech services side, I'd say 90% of the code that they use is either they developed it themselves or it's open source. On the consulting services side, I'd say it's probably the flip-flopped. So it kind of depends on the purpose. We consult companies to spend every dollar you spend on information security wisely. Don't buy shit just because somebody else is buying shit.
Exactly. Yep, and that's why Evan and I get along so well. Huh?
What's
Do you
that?
buy things through peer pressure? I thought that's how we buy everything.
No. Don't do that. Do not do
I
that.
have to evaluate my
Yeah.
entire life. Hang on.
I think you got it straight.
No, there's don't just buy stuff because somebody was like, oh, you need this? Here, shove it in there and plug it in, and we promise we'll do all the things for you, and then you plugged it in, and then you're like, where'd you guys go? What was somebody?
Buy these 5 really expensive things that totally work together until we walk away and they break.
Right, until you walk away and it breaks. Exactly. Yeah,
Well,
and I
and,
mean,
and that's one of the reasons why we stayed product agnostic too.
yes.
We're not tied to any product. We're not tied to Microsoft or Tenable or Rapid7 or anything, right? If we can find a more cost-effective solution for you together that's open source that we think you can handle,
Manage. Yeah.
we'll absolutely go that route.
Yeah. And it can be one of those things like, I got into this discussion last week, and it actually stemmed from a conversation I had that Chris was privy to. It's a pretty hard conversation, but that's all I'm going to say about it. Where basically managed SOC was the topic of discussion because it's hard to find. It's hard for organizations each individually to find and vet good talent to apply because they don't know what they're looking for, right? They don't know, especially if they don't already have someone in place that kind of knows a little bit about what's going on, right? So they're grasping at straws in the dark. They have no idea. So they turn to the MSSPs and the MSPs and the MSS, right? Whatever Chris and Weiser had going. Wasn't that Chris and Weiser? I think so. I think it was.
Chris and Gabriel.
Yeah, Kiss and Gabriel. And that's not a forever solution, right? That's a good segue. And if you get a good partnership in place, they're going to hold the hand of your incoming SOC professionals and help guide them through what they've already been looking at, right? It's like, because it's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid. You need something right there, and you do. You need something to manage your vulnerabilities and patch management and to be a part of your team and an extension, right? But you really want those guys that are in-house that have their skin in the game, you know?
Sometimes the best way to manage vulnerabilities is stop installing shit.
True.
No.
Reduce your footprint, man,
Unplug it.
You can't stop installing things. So, my favorite story about this is how to, like you said, unplug. And my favorite story, anytime someone says that, is I don't know if any of you are aware of Eligible Receiver. It was a NSA war game against, I believe, the Department of Defense. And long story short, the only computer that I believe got through without getting compromised by the NSA was this guy. I think he was in Hawaii, freaked out because the computer was acting up, and he just unplugged everything. Like, no. That's the only one that didn't get compromised in eligible receiver. Which, if you haven't heard about that story, is fantastic, and please look it up. My favorite story.
That's awesome.
I think someone is taunting you, Sai. They dark web wink.
I bet they are.
They're
I
setting
can.
up
I
some
can.
bit.
I have a guess of a few people who that could be. So let's go.
Let's do it.
So let's do that. We were talking about some of the ways that some of the dark web intel, super ninja, cool. Wow, how do you do that, guys? Right?
Yeah.
So I love you. So yeah, the
I
first
got back from the dojo like 2 days ago. Let's go.
nice. You're
I think
way
Sai's
more-
pretty cool too.
You're way more physically fit than me. I can just tell already. And Will kind of looks like
Let's not even go to physical fitness, please.
Isn't it trending on some? So I don't do social media very well. I'll be honest. Somewhere
I don't-
it's trending.
And I don't
That
do trend.
Red Team Fit or something.
really?
No,
Is it?
I
Is it
guess.
trending somewhere?
Dave
I-
posted about it yesterday.
Well, I thought the IT fitness program was lifting servers, that in racking, right?
Basically. And then you have to be also show that you're cleanly by properly organizing wires.
So why not?
Absolutely.
I got out of bed and had a glass of water today. There's my fitness.
Good job, you. Good job. So Sai, apart from being dark web something tour is in the comments now. You're also for your 9 to 5er, don't you? You took up the torch of security awareness, right? And that
Yeah.
training.
Yeah.
So,
I do. So I do a lot of work where I'm focusing in on security awareness, and I also have done some talks. I just chatted at a CrowdStrike event about this, where from my perspective, I was lucky enough to hang out with Chris Hatnaggy at the Advanced Practical Social Engineering training he gave last year at Black Hat. And I took away from that a lot of principles he has for social engineering and used those to try to figure out what's the best way to not only help raise cyber awareness and education for a workforce, but also to raise awareness and collaboration among a team, and not just yours, like cyber team, but other teams at large. I found that a lot of people like to do the old hacker movie thing of hiding in a server room and not talking to people, and it doesn't seem to work very well.
Not one bit.
No. So I'm a big advocate of learning how to talk to people, even if you hate it.
That's cool.
Oh, definitely. At Pima, we've teamed up with a group called the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range. And in there, we've developed an atmosphere where, completely cordoned off from the rest of the college, they can throw up boxes and they can work to hack each other. You can, it's not a place you want to do your banking, but it's a place where you can, hang out and try to hack different sources, bring things right off the web. But the key thing that we have when you walk in, there's a sign right there on the door that says, "Leave your ego at the door." Because that collaboration that you talk about is ever so important. And trying to get those skills, those understandings are invaluable. I mean, we have students where we're setting up, man-in-the-middle attacks with Wi-Fi, right? And have worked on the principles that they learned there, then have found in Tucson restaurants those attacks taking place, which means that it's prevalent, right? And you all know, your IT professionals probably the biggest problem with IT, would you not say, is just basically sloppy IT.
Yeah,
You know, the basics not being followed.
100%.
And the other problem is with cybersecurity professionals across this country, you know, there's so many that if they can spell cybersecurity, they've got a job. It doesn't
Okay,
mean
but
that
wait.
they actually know how to do it
How do you spell cybersecurity? With a space or without a space?
without a space.
S-I.
Wait, my name's right there. I'm giving you a hint.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. You know, it's funny that you say that. We were, my counterpart, Celeste Freeman, and I were actually going back and forth over a piece of copy, and I had done it. I did it. I had cybersecurity as one word and cybersecurity as two words a couple of places in I don't even remember what we were working on. And she was like, so I think we need to decide on one or the other. I was like, you know what? I think we need to do that as a whole industry.
Yeah.
I think I looked it up in Webster or something like that. There was, you know,
Well,
there's a,
I don't want to open up a can of worms here. But cybersecurity and information security are two different things too.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think a lot of times people are all wrapped up in like thinking they're the same. They're not.
Nope.
And I don't want to. I can give you definitions later. We'll do a whole nother podcast.
Whole nother. Well, we are open sourcing our information right here, Evan. There are 4 building blocks to build your own application personified. Aw, look.
Aw,
It's a metaphor.
it's a.
Your stuff. Nailed it.
I want that part. I want that part of the clip. Aw, it's a metaphor.
Yeah, I can do that, I think.
your new ringtone.
Oh, what's a metaphor? Oh, speaking of ringtones, they did that last night on the security show. You guys called scamming funsies, whatever. What was it that you did? You were who were you on the phone with? And they were speaking Mandarin to you.
I get, you know, I think it's because of some of the stuff I do. I get a lot of Chinese scam calls, and I don't speak Chinese. So yeah, I get these calls, and it's like, I don't know what the hell that is, and I'm not interested enough to go and hunt down what they just said. I just delete it usually.
Yeah, just keep blocking.
I mean,
I
if
used
you
to
want
get one in Spain all the time, and I had my flatmate listen to it, and they're like, why are you involved in drug trafficking? I was like, what is happening on my phone right now?
really,
Yeah, I got a new number. I was like, I'm not going to be a part of that.
No, we're good. We're
Yeah.
definitely
No, thank you.
but I'm so easy to find too. I mean, if the Chinese want to come and knock me off, I mean, it's not gonna be hard to find me. Just, you know, I just don't. I'm not one of those guys that lives in fear either, right? I mean,
Well, except when you're in Sturgis, right?
You guys could
I'm not
probably
gonna-
map out my house and
Oh, yeah.
recreate an accurate 3D model off of Facebook. Just
You
to let
wouldn't
you know.
have to.
we have the we have the
We can
blueprints.
find the floor plans. It's probably free on Google.
Exactly, we have the blueprints.
We changed them a little bit after the
I know.
2016 flood. A little, not much, but
I know.
enough that it
We-
pissed our insurance company
But
off.
you probably
We
had
know
to submit those new blueprints to the city to make sure they were authorized, which means they probably are still on Google.
Yeah,
Yep.
that. So my brother got
Yep.
into a car accident, a minor one, not a big one. He drives he bought my dad's old silver Corvette. I think it's like a 2002, so it's not that old. Don't get excited.
Rachel, we knew that too.
I know you do. I know, but for everybody else, they might not. Just hold
Oh,
on,
okay.
Evan.
All right.
So it's like, you know,
The
going,
internet's
he's going down the interstate and a semi truck comes to merge. He doesn't seem right. Silver, low riding vehicle. They were going real slow in traffic, so the semi basically just bumped him and like kind of scooted him over a little bit. And out pops a very nervous driver, and he didn't give my brother all of the insurance information he was supposed to. Actually, he falsified some of it. I think it, honestly, from listening to the story that my brother was telling me, I think the guy was so nervous he wasn't sure what to do.
He's gonna lose his job.
Yeah, he was basically, yeah, he was pooing himself right there on, you know, rush hour traffic. So,
Ooh.
so
Oh, I thought it was time for one of those announcements.
oh no. So,
Please, I told you guys, my camera does weird stuff sometimes.
so my
was
brother
excited.
got a sheet and was upset because he couldn't start the process with his insurance company because he didn't have all of the guy's information and whatever and so forth. So I was like, what kind of information do you have on this man? And he said, well, I have his name and I have an address and I have his company and that's it. And it took me 5 minutes and I found his registration with the Department of Transportation, which has to have record of your insurance for you to be licensed and able to be a carrier. He's also a third-party in-between contractor for FedEx, so he had to have a bunch of stuff on that. And now know where he lives, which no wonder he was nervous, guys. Poor guy. Okay, he's a hard-working man, is what I gotta
You're
say.
outing right now. You're not scary at all, Rachel. It's fine.
So I took a screenshot of that and handed it all back to him, and I said that should be able to start your policy. Just be kind to the man, okay? He honestly didn't see you. It was honestly an accident. Don't be a right rule number what, Sai? Don't be a don't be a
What-
jerk.
Look,
Hey,
That
wait,
was
what rule is that?
It's like rule
Rule number one?
for me.
the
It's rule
Titanic
number one.
Temple, and apparently for cool cyber ranges, don't be a blank.
Yeah, don't be a blank.
You know,
Don't be a Richard.
Our num-
no offense
one
to
of
all the
our-
Richards, but
one of our number one rules, and I say it every quarterly meeting with the company, is we don't have any dickheads who work here.
right, no, not one. Bye.
None.
It's a rule.
See, there's a commonality. There's so many things we have in common. I like you guys.
Oh, we like you too.
I mean, we're rather fond of you too, Evan. It's totally fine. So for open, let's look. We went squirreling. Did you see it?
Uh-huh.
Squirreling
What
and
was
chicken.
Real bad.
Wait, we weren't supposed to talk about truck drivers and stalking them on Google, right? That was the topic, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally, definitely.
I like it.
That's. I mean, that's my level of open source intelligence, right? So before, I don't even know who coined the word. Maybe Sai knows. I have no idea. But open source intelligence. Before we put like a big, cool professional title on that, I always referred to it as level 5 stalking. Just, right?
Basically,
It's that thing you do whenever you've broken up with somebody and then they block you on all your social media and then you go create your own separate account and then you go check out all their stuff and get mad and throw your phone across the room. No? Nobody's ever... I've had some drunken girlfriends come over before and this has been a thing.
look, that's what my mother does. I don't do social media unless I'm trolling certain people that I adore and getting them to eat pineapple pizza.
That was fun.
Otherwise, I do not social.
Oh no, what about?
But my mother does it all the time.
Wow,
Look,
double fisting.
You duplicated it.
I can't
That's a
judge
really
you though.
good 3D printer.
I can't judge
3D
you though.
printer,
This-
baby.
Look,
Yeah, I
this
can
was
do all this
cool.
stuff. I'm gonna have.
Where'd you get that like biodegradable 3D printer? I want one.
It's top secret.
Biodegradable 3D printer? Who?
But
Oh, you don't mind that. I'm just picking locks in the background of your podcast.
Yeah, that's fine.
Nice.
You can totally do that. That's okay. I told you guys this is loosely structured, unstructured. One of those. So, but okay. So from OSINT skills, right? That's usually part of one of those things that you can identify a hacker, right? So be supportive of your exes that you find stalking you, and be like, you know what? I think you'd be good for a career in cybersecurity.
No. No.
Here's some links.
I think there's a big difference between stalking your ex and trying to get relevant and necessary information for a legal and not creepy task.
There is, and everybody heard it. Sai volunteered to be your mentor. Right there.
So
Totally.
Trace Labs does open source CTFs, and all of that is about helping law enforcement find missing persons.
Which
So that's using these super creepy tools and abilities that you may or may not have for good things, which is different from stalking your ex and
So-
posting all that stuff.
So if just going and stalking my ex, right, by not using any other tool other than my wit and ability to create new email addresses, what do you rely heavily on open source tooling to do a lot of that, or?
What do you mean?
What do I mean? Okay.
Wait, rephrase the question.
This time in English, please.
Yeah.
Tools?
You had like two questions that you smushed together, but not in the right way.
That's why I need you.
Hey, honey.
We all need
Is
each
that
other.
not apparent? This is exactly
So
why.
restate your question. Let's figure it out.
Okay. So for the CTF, right?
Yeah.
Let's focus on that. Let's use that as
Yeah.
as my launching pad for my thoughts and that are incoherent and mostly uneducated, but that's why we're here. For that CTF, are there any open source tools that you like or rely on? You don't have to name them, just yes or no. Or is it purely wit, experience, wisdom, and just general knowing how to navigate?
So you're trying to get me to reveal my team's secrets on how we're awesome?
No, I don't want. That's why I was like, no, you don't have to name names. Just I just wonder.
No, so yes, there absolutely are,
Okay.
and because they're open source, generally speaking, you can find them.
Okay.
I think in your chat, someone mentioned the OSINT framework, which is easy to find. It's probably the top 3 on Google if you search that exact terminology, and that one's really useful. Sometimes it can be outdated.
Yeah.
But
So
there's
if you're looking
so
for,
many good tools.
so because
Also-
this applies to a broader range of things, right? Let's say I am semi IT savvy and I am sitting in a company that doesn't have anyone else but me. And I want to try to understand how to apply open source tools to my network because we don't have budget yet, right? But I think I can maintain these systems and maintain that repository and stay up to date with it. Now I forgot
Yeah,
where my
are you
question was
talking
going.
about the tools for doing open source intelligence? I mean, a lot of those tools, they're on common distros, and all you need are some APIs, and you can get a lot of the very basic stuff just done for you in split seconds, right? So
yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead, Si.
So how do you verify? How do you check against that? Is there some sort of check that we can do to make sure that those repositories are still being worked on? Right, like OpenSSL went unmaintained and created a huge
Well,
data
there's
leak.
kind of a difference from a tool that you just kind of use like a browser to a tool that is your server and that you're trying to defend your
Right.
area, right? That's a big
I
difference.
think this conversation is almost too high of a level because, to me, a lot of things that if I'm going out to do an actual specific activity, I'm thinking of from what perspective am I looking for stuff and what do I need? And so my tools are going to change vastly. If I'm looking for threat intelligence on Cozy Bear from Russia targeting pharmaceutical companies that are working on COVID, I'm using way different tools than I am to find a missing person who last posted on Instagram XYZ months ago. So I kind of think you got to figure out what level and where you're working from to figure out what the tools are and how you use them. But in general, virtual machines or dedicated systems to do this work on helps mitigate some of those risks where you're not sure if it's getting updated properly. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're worried that this tool isn't getting updated or could be getting like poisoned or something, you can try to use that tool in an isolated system that you have the ability to clean out so your personal data is there. And if you are doing something that you have to turn over evidence, like the CTFs, where you may have to turn over evidence to law enforcement, you have a clean slate that you can give them where your bank account isn't on there or you purchasing something on eBay isn't there or something like that.
Yes, that's a great point. You know, before you just rush into anything, right? It's just like a physical tool too.
Yeah.
Right? I wouldn't let anybody just use my welder. Right? Do you know how to use a welder? Do you know what it's used for? Versus a screwdriver, right? I'd use a screwdriver for something different. So understanding what your tools are used for is one thing. And
You
then,
said welding. I'm sorry. This is a soldering iron. Hang on.
Yeah.
It's like,
close enough. I mean, same principle. But and then Sai also made a great point where do some planning ahead of time, right? We know that something that's insecure at the core will always be insecure, right? So using things like the basics, like isolation, network isolation. If you're not going to use a VM, or if you are going to use a VM, how are you going to isolate things from things? Understanding data flows on your network. There's lots of tools where you can understand what applications are speaking where and what's, and then noticing those deviations. I mean, the basic stuff will help you a lot with open source.
yeah.
And having all those different tools, everything from firewalling to servers to virtual environments to, because we're going to be creating in our center of excellence is, using Overt and a KVM whole infrastructure. Why? Because you can't really afford much of anything else along those lines, but yet it's still Red Hat supported, has that backing and those kind of elements. But yeah, segmentation, teaching the basic principles. And when you do it from a higher ed aspect and where things need to change, is that it's not enough to just teach the principles, but then you have to go over and break it, right? You don't get that understanding. Okay, I'm on one of my.
No, go.
So
You're on
boxes,
it.
right?
You're on it. We'll let you
So-
have it.
Preach it,
So-
brother, preach it.
Woo!
The irritation is that you go through many higher ed type environments and you just learn how to regurgitate knowledge, right? You take a Cisco class, you learn Cisco. You take Linux, learn Linux. You take Windows, learn Windows. Fine. But what we really need are those that actually do IT. Okay, now you do a Linux front end that's talking to a Windows database that's going over a network. To get all those things to talk together and then have an understanding of how that can break and where sloppy IT can open up vast holes, that's what we have to change. And it doesn't have to cost a huge amount of money to put students in long-term debt. We've got to stop that foolishness. And we've got to think more IT as a trade instead of some lofty theory type deal. I mean, there's a lot to be said for that, right? There's a lot of research and things like that, but we need capable blue team folks desperately. Just read the news. Duh. And if we can just repair some of the basic understandings and get folks out there that are looking at it from a different perspective. Okay, you've built it, now hack it. We can make that change. But open source is invaluable in that area because it covers such a wide swath, such a wide gambit, that you need all those building blocks. Otherwise, students won't know. I mean, how else do you solve that problem? This is a thing that comes up regularly on Shit Show. How do we solve this problem, right?
Yeah.
From my perspective, it's take it back to the basics. Get the students.
It's always the basics. I mean, it's funny how so many people think, 10 miles down the road and you're tripping over, this little thing in front of you because you don't see the basics, the fundamentals. You haven't grown in this. And so to your point too, Rachel, don't just dive in to open source. Don't just dive into anything. Understand it first.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We have a big issue with that because you can learn, like you mentioned, the broad strokes. But what's the difference between Debian and Red Hat? Where do you learn that other than open source materials or on your own? A lot of places aren't teaching those differences. They're teaching Unix or Linux if you're lucky to have that focus, but a lot of them are just teaching Unix, which means that you get to learn some commands that work on most Linux and some Macs, but where are you learning those subtle differences?
Right.
And I would never run anything, Rachel, in my production environment anywhere unless I understood what the hell it does, like really deeply.
Yeah,
So if
that's
If I'm going open source, I better do some research first, and it might take me a few months, maybe a year before I'm ready to put that thing in production.
Well, that's a huge problem in our industry, right? We've had some folks that are, volunteers in the range. One of them was doing tech support for a major firewall vendor. We'll name names,
Whoops.
but they get calls from IT folks, right? Professionals.
Palo Palto.
Saying, we got this firewall. We unboxed it. We put it in the rack. Now what do we do? If you don't know at that stage, what are you doing as a professional? We've got to get out of this mentality of just do it to where it works and then you're done. No, you have to understand it, right?
And ideally, if you're getting paid for it, you better master it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just the way I feel about it.
True story.
That's a big assumption in integrity, and that's a huge problem.
So, Sai, tell me more about your darknet stuff, man.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by that stuff because I don't spend a lot of time there, and I know that one thing in information security is you can't be an expert in all of this, right? I'm really good at my thing. So, but people that do other things that are experts in other parts just fascinate me. So
I don't believe I'm an expert in anything, and I don't want to be, because I'm a person who advocates for questions always. And so I will always come up with a question, and it might be 3 a.m. when I send you an email and you're like, why are you talking to me? But it will happen. It's fine.
I'm up too. It's okay.
So Rachel and I were up all night after the Twitter hack, just exchanging screenshots of me grabbing stuff off the darknet, trying to find fun stuff. But as far as the darknet goes, I am a big advocate for like the Tor browser. I think the mission of the Tor browser is really good. But I also am aware and definitely willing to acknowledge that there's some bad stuff that goes on the darknet. Maybe not the red rooms people like to talk about, but other stuff. And I think it's a really valuable place for understanding not only what's being developed and open source, because it's a huge open source community. Everything there, the only gatekeeping that's really happening is if they know who you are, they trust you, you've established a reputation, and you're part of the group. If you're in the in crowd, that's it. That's the gatekeeping. Everything from there on is mostly open source. A lot of it is teaching each other how to work on things. Let it be how to hack into a web browser, how to hack into a bank account, how to socially engineer people. There are forums. There's a Reddit that is a Reddit, which is has all of these subthreads that are on all these topics. And a big thing on all of those is the collaboration and the teaching of these skills together. So I think it's a really interesting place, not only to see what information is being shared and how is it being shared, how our community is being formed, but also who's bragging. Because the darknet is a brag central place for a lot of people. So if they do some big hack, a lot of people want to take credit for it. They want to say that was me. Now, is it always them? Probably not. And so I find the darknet to be a really good place for cyber threat intelligence and, in general, intelligence across the board, and possibly community social networking, not Facebook or Twitter, but how people are connected across darknet spaces, not just Tor.
That's
I can
cool.
talk about darknet too much to stop me.
No, no. I mean, you spend time there, and I think it's fascinating because I don't spend as much time there as probably I should even. So getting your perspective is. Plus, we have this age difference. I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't.
You
I
did.
thought you
Yeah,
were like maybe 2 days older than me.
You did.
Well,
Yeah,
I just
we didn't know.
got my license.
Oh,
So-
so maybe you're younger than me.
Yeah, I can try it.
Hang out with students, dude.
Right. But I love learning from, this newer, just crop of cool people, man. I mean, it's really neat to see. I have there are times when I lose faith in the future, and then there's times when it's like, all right, maybe we're going to be okay.
We're gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, we can hand off the mantle and be all right.
So, Sai, you
Yeah.
brought up this awesome aspect of how important community is and sharing and working with that knowledge. What is your perspective on how maybe we could duplicate that on the blue team side, right? Because that's something where we fall apart all over the place is information sharing, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to pick a handcuff. So my big perspective on that is what I mentioned earlier, is using social engineering techniques to actually build better collaboration. One of the big things I took away from Chris's class was the focus on everyone in certain situations have very specific responses to it. It's called the DISC profile. And so if we're sitting down and we're trying to figure out how to gather threat intelligence for a company, you might be really good at going out onto social media, probably Rachel right there. Social media, going out on Facebook, don't give me that face, going out on Facebook, finding information, some collaboration, some chat, right? And then packing up, I see that the chat is just guessing that I'm over 400 years old, and how dare you know my age. And so, but if we have Rachel, who may be really good at social media, trying to write a script to automate something, that may not be the best task. Even if she is able to write that script for a different circumstance, in this situation, it might not be the best. She may have a better time going in and talking with communities to gather information. So understanding how everybody's roles in that DISC profile kind of fit together, I think is really helpful. And it helped me work with some of my team to understand where do we all fall better. And I think that's how the blue team, red team, any team could really work well, because not every team effort is going to have people in the same roles. And I think that's something that we do have right now prevalent in the industry. We're all in the same roles all the time. We're getting burned out. We're getting bored, or we're getting to a point where we just can't focus on it anymore. And understanding where switching that around might be really good probably would help revive that a little bit.
And see, that goes back to a lot of the fundamental discussion too, is understanding what the fundamentals are, right? I see it all the time. You'll get an analyst that's used one specific tool for 2 or 3 years, and then that's it. They're using that tool everywhere they go. If they suddenly need to leave or get a better job offer or go someplace else, they better have that tool there too.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be so far behind, they don't know what to do. It's then they get to play a messy game of catch up, which is awful. But if you understand the fundamentals of where and how all of these tools are created, and what they're at their core they're meant to do, right? Besides the blinky lights, pull the blinky lights back, right, Evan?
Yeah, I have blinky lights. Hang on.
If you pull them all back, they're all essentially doing the same thing. Just one can do it more efficiently or with different blinky lights. It depends on what style of Christmas tree you like. Is really what it is.
I like the skull kind.
Do you like white and flocked? Does it need to be 6 feet tall because you got regular traditional ceilings, or can we go 12 feet, right? Because you got the
How about
the big
black
cathedral.
with frosting? The white frosting.
Does it integrate with the rest of your decor, right? Like that's what it is. But it's all they're all trees, like to hang shit on. Like they're all every one of them. So it's you have to understand the fundamental piece of it to get there. And I actually had a really good conversation with, probably, no offense, I mean, I get real excited talking to all of y'all, but you guys, this guy built the networks for the launching sites for NASA. in the mid
Very
80s.
cool.
Okay.
But
Who hasn't?
you're gonna introduce me to my new best friend, right? Right.
Yeah. So I accidentally slipped and put an email up, and he sent me this picture, and I want to flash it up on the screen really quick, as a teaser, I guess. Let me see if I can get it to pull up. All right. So this, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. Does anybody know what that is? Who knows what that is?
I gotta look, don't I?
I can't see
Yep,
it.
yeah.
You couldn't
I
see
can't
it?
see it either.
Oh no. Can
I think
see
you gotta
it?
share it in the GoToMeeting thing.
Oh, let me share. Here, I'll share this one. There you go.
Ah, yeah, there we
Oh
go.
God, yes, the Rainbow Series. Forget about it.
Right, so he helped do that.
Yeah. So did somebody on our team. Her name is Lori Blair.
I wonder if they know each other. I bet they do.
Yeah, she got into information security in 1985.
Yeah, so this guy was 70s doing stuff for the communications.
It's crazy.
With the, I don't know. It was so much, Evan, that I was like, we have to do another talk where I had to record it. At one point, I was like, I have to record this because I can't focus on what you're saying and then write at the same time because I'm gonna miss so much stuff.
We had a really good time with. Do you know who Laura Chappell is? She's awesome, and is a major force behind education stuff with Wireshark. And she's currently working on projects with Vint Cerf and company on doing network analysis with Wireshark because it's got open source. It has all the right dissectors built to where they're doing interplanetary communications. So all the stuff that's coming back from Voyager and those kind of things, and I'm about to work that into my class to where we have the extra elements that are put into the TCP stack to be able to accommodate these long communications that head out and take a long time to come back, and so they have to manipulate that a bit, but it's all built into Wireshark. That's the beauty of the open source. You have professionals that can take that information and then immediately apply it. It rocks.
Yeah.
She's a lot of fun.
It's such a cool way to collaborate as a community, right? You can have
Oh, heck yeah.
proprietary code with 20 or 30 people working on it, or you can have open source code running underneath your tool and like 30 million people are working on it. Like, or
Wireshark is a classic example because that's a whole bunch of really obscure stuff, right? That a large number of people have been working together for a long time to have it dissect, to have it analyze and make sense out of all these bytes of network traffic.
So for those who don't know what Wireshark does, can anybody quickly explain what Wireshark does or what it is?
Yeah,
Great thing.
Wireshark is a way of analyzing the data as it comes across the wire.
So like a packet sniffer?
Absolutely, but then it displays it and it helps you to find the needle in the haystack. And some folks think that there should be medication for that, but I get a kick out of that.
Well, and it puts the network adapter in promiscuous mode. Huh? Right?
Another
Yeah,
good
wow.
tool is Metasploit, which is my favorite.
Yeah, Nmap
And-
has always been my go-to.
Yeah.
So look, we've hit about the top of the hour. I'm sure we could all do this for probably another 4 hours or so. Right?
Absolutely. You guys, I
Hey,
mean,
it's a
seriously,
fun hang up.
you guys are fascinating. Every time, you never stop learning in this industry. I've been doing this crap not crap, it's fun, and I get paid for it, so whatever.
Good
But for
crap.
good crap, for almost 30 years, and I still, meet cool people and learn new stuff, so this is awesome.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Oh, hey, Sly, we got to get you talking with students.
absolutely. I'm down.
Hard rock, man.
definitely.
Awesome.
So go. Sai does not do social media well, but she does have a Twitch stream. She does
Do.
that. So
And I
you
can
really?
stream
yeah, she does. I started following her
where I'm teaching people how to create open source spiders. So if anyone wants to learn that,
I
I think your Twitch stream chat has been showing spiders on and off half of this.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the project I'm working on right now is how to create a smart spider that has some integrated machine learning to actually go out, find a web page, pull all of the text, and then fill in a Mad Lib because it can understand what parts of speech the text it pulls are. So
That's fun.
Pretty cool.
Who doesn't want to know how to do that? If you don't, we don't like you. You should learn how to do that. Do
You're
that.
not one of us.
Okay, I'm gone.
Be gone.
God, forward,
And
goodbye.
Evan and the shit show, right? Hang on. Can everybody see the image on the Twitch stream? I love this image. It's so great. So one of your fans created the image that you guys use for the shit show, right, Evan?
Where is it? Which one? Talking about us on the motorcycle?
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can't see it because whatever. I'm playing with stuff over here in OBS, which is an open source tool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why. We for bikers, you call the person in the back, and I don't mean
The
to
bitch seat?
offend anybody. Well, we've always called it riding bitch.
Yep.
And so I don't know why Chris is riding bitch. That just ain't right. I mean, he should be driving, I think. I'll gladly ride bitch, and I think Ryan being in the sidecar is perfect. He's
He's a sidecar kind of guy. Oh, he's gonna kill us.
That picture is beautiful.
That's it. Ryan's not gonna talk to me anymore. And
Ryan's a great guy.
and Will, did you already touch on how you participate? How can I, walking in off the street, go and hang out at the cyber warfare range? Do I have to sign up?
So there's two
Yeah.
possibilities.
I want to
Right.
walk out of the desert like an alien
Yes,
and do it.
because it's in Arizona. Just be real clear with everybody else. Arizona, okay, guys. You gotta be in Arizona.
Like an alien.
Good old
Lots
Tucson.
of water.
So
Yes.
let me put this in the right thing here, and
What you need?
back to my OBS.
Oh, you got it.
So you
Oops.
can head to pima.edu to pick up on our program that way, or head over to www.azcwr.org to check out the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range.
I like it.
There they have some remote ranges and stuff where you can go through stuff where folks cut their teeth on, like the BWAP and all sorts of different elements like that. And we're going to keep an eye on there because very soon we're going to be creating a whole virtual environments where folks can come in and take part for the students can take part virtually, because with all this COVID stuff, man, it's been a pain. But we've been going crazy. Let me see in this presentation somewhere, blah, blah, blah. You can see
Hey, who is that guy?
that was one of the events. But we're building a whole area there where we're going to have the data center and CSOC and all that coming into play. So we're quite excited and trying to put a lot of meat to it.
Awesome.
So
I'm gonna go back to everyone. I made you really big for a
I would
second.
love to visit.
yeah, and then we have a lot of events going on and stuff. And Chris was a blast, and he did one of the events with the students, and Brett Scott is another, and we should have Laura Chappell coming up pretty soon. Hey, Cy, you can come hang out. That'd be awesome. But it gives a chance where students can connect with folks and ask them questions where they normally don't have that opportunity. And it's like, why not? We got to get this knowledge share going, right?
Right.
It's imperative. And hey, Evan, you want to come talk to students?
Sure.
Awesome.
You said something about meat.
Virtual meat, man.
Yeah, good barbecue down there. I'll go anywhere for barbecue.
Bruce?
Hey, we got awesome Mexican food down here.
I don't do that.
Sonoran is the best.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love talking to people. I love helping however I can, man.
Awesome. Thank
Well,
you.
that's part of the reason for this stream was I was having so many very cool conversations with very cool people, and thought, wouldn't this be fun if I could just let them tell their stories instead of me regurgitating it to other people all the time? That would be way more fun. I like it much better. And plus I get to drink coffee the whole time and mash buttons. So I like doing all those things. Super fun.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you, Rachel, for putting this on. This is awesome.
This is fun.
I mean, minimal effort. No, just kidding. Yeah, no, it was definitely fun and worthwhile. We're actually I'm gonna be moving the stream to Thursdays because I don't know if you guys could hear it in the background, but I have 3 tiny children that while we're doing this stream, my awesome husband Josh is definitely holding down the fort, kind of. I mean, nobody sounds like they're dying, so that's good. That's a plus.
Hey, Ollie was a good boy for all this, so.
Ollie was a very good, but where's Violet? You were supposed to bring Violet, Evan. I demanded.
Yeah, she's actually not feeling well. We're
no.
we're not sure what the deal is. Maybe the change of food, but
Aw,
she's resting. I know.
poor baby. Well, we don't want to wake her up. Let her nap. She
Yeah.
needs a nap.
But Rachel, I also want to reiterate what these guys say. We need somebody like you. We need you in this industry, and it's really cool that you just have this bubbly personality. You herd cats like I've never seen before. So keep it going.
I like to say I'm too
Yeah.
dumb to be afraid.
I love it.
I don't care. Like I mean, I care that you love me. Thank you. That's not what I meant. I meant that, like, sometimes my boss is like, how do you just go talk to these people that are like these huge corporations and huge organizations? And I'm like, they need help too.
Right.
And
It's a
can do
gift. It's a gift, and not everybody has it. It's like Chris. Chris has his gifts. I keep telling him about many of his gifts. The one gift that I'm most intrigued by is his ability to communicate.
Yes, I love it. That's how I found Chris the first couple of times. Was I was like, what an engaging way to write something down. Like that was the best. And I cling to storytellers, right? However you like to tell your story, I will eat that stuff up all day long. I'm appetite endless for good stories. Another fun reason to do a stream and pretend that I know how to produce things.
Oh, you do a great job. And Ryan's got, I should say something nice about him. His gift is high energy. Heart is always in the right place. We just have this tension because I'm not high energy. I'm just like, dude, shut up for a minute. No.
I get that sometimes.
But-
It's okay.
But that's different people,
Yeah.
Well, he's also a big advocate for K-12, which is awesome. They need a voice
They do.
desperately.
Yeah, they do. And so do the higher ed folks right now. And I hope that we planted some seeds for them to take back and apply to their situations, because it's
Yes.
it's a hard life out there right now, and I'm just lucky that I still have some sort of job because some of my friends don't. And man, it's rough stuff. But thank you all so much for grabbing cups and circling ups.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it.
Pleasure meeting you folks.
Yes.
We'll talk again
Fun.
soon. Thanks everybody.
All right, thank you.